Former President Donald Trump has pledged to, quote, free the January 6 hostages as one of his first acts if he returns to the White House, which he is returning to the White House. This commitment has stirred significant debate and has been a focal point of his campaign, where he has repeatedly referred to the January 6 rioters as hostages, warriors, and unbelievable patriots. Now, the public has a reaction to this. Opinions on this promise are deeply divided. Trump supporters see this as an act of justice for those they believe have been unfairly prosecuted, while critics argue it could undermine the legal consequences for those involved in the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. As for legal context, over 1,400 individuals have been arrested in connection with the Capitol so-called attack, with hundreds sentenced to prison terms. Trump's promise of pardons has led to some defendants requesting delays in their legal proceedings, anticipating clemency. Now here's a quote, I am going to be acting very quickly. I'm looking first day, Trump said in a recent interview, indicating his immediate intention to address the issue upon re-election. Quote, I'm going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases, he added, suggesting a case-by-case approach, but did not rule out pardoning those who assaulted police officers. I, for one, know, and this is my personal opinion, that although we talked about some of the Biden pardons, all presidents kind of get to do this. In this case, with January 6th, when you have people being prosecuted surely because of political partisan reasons, this case, the left, Biden, Kamala Harris, a failure of Nancy, and a failure of the Democrat Party to protect the Capitol, etc. The blame they put on Donald Trump over the years, the considerable amount of partisanship when it came to calling MAGA people terrorists, making people lose their jobs, going after their documents. I, for one, went to January 6th. I left because of they had a curfew. I got out of town. I did not participate in the stuff that happened afterwards. I did not go and breach any walls or go inside of any Capitol. I didn't even set foot on the steps of the Capitol. I stayed out in the area, witnessed what was going on. Most of the things that was there was recorded. But I did have that council that reached out to me, and I ignored them because, for one, I am not off the record talking about what happened that day, so they can come back and put you on stand and say, oh, well, you said something differently. And that's kind of what they've done to like Michael Flynn and other people. They did, however, out of the blue, request my phone records from my cell phone company. And I never got a chance to say, hey, no. Of course, there was nothing that they found. I had a permitted rally during the time, and that's probably why they did reach out to me. And I don't know what happened in the background. They never asked me to come to court. I didn't break any rules or any laws, so they didn't come to arrest me or anything. I did, however, potentially lose one job because of it. And I believe that all January 6 people who had problems or have worried about being arrested over nothing, who have lost jobs and who have had their rights taken and harassed by this so-called committee should be allowed to, I think, sue the government. And there should be reparations for the January 6 people. And I do understand that there are some people who have done some things that are probably warranted some charges. But I also have to compare the so-called January 6 people, the so-called rioters, to the Antifa and other individuals who destroyed Washington, D.C. on the night of the inauguration, who destroyed Washington, D.C. on multiple places. The individuals who went into the Hart building and would not leave. The other protesters that went into government buildings and would not leave. And thinking about cases like in Seattle, where they basically took over the Capitol, which is insurrection in my book. And to me, as we talk about the demand for equal justice, and like they say, no justice, no peace, I would say if you want the J6 prisoners to be thrown away and lock away the key, one of them in there for one Proud Boy member in there, Enrique, for 35 years, who wasn't allowed to be in D.C., who wasn't in D.C., who had a Zoom call that people have seen. They said it was to work towards trying to conspiracize or whatever, which the Supreme Court had already said that you can't prosecute on that, but yet that man's still in jail. There are so many people that have been locked away and they're having their livelihood taken from them and are going to be in dire straits even afterwards. That there needs to be repercussions financially to help those who had problems. And that's what I'm calling for. And I hope that Donald Trump frees everybody. Because at the end of the day, if one side will condemn you fully like this, and then the other side has to deal with it, it's not so much it's real justice being played out. Because these people would never have gone far. They would have got a slap on the wrist, like many people in riots and where they destroy property and other places where people got thrown in the thing, went to jail and came right back and got to go right back to where they were doing a riot. There's so many cases over the years where it seems like the people who are on the left get to do whatever they want, while the people on the right get everything thrown at them. And that's messed up. That's messed up. And people on the left, you've got to understand that is a tragedy of justice. That is a tragedy of democracy or our republic or whatever you want to call it. So I think the only way we can clean slate this is, yes, the January 6th people have got to be freed. And I hope that Donald Trump will do that.
Go right news. With Peter Boykin, we're making moves. Freedom and liberty always on the rise. Tune into the truth and open your eyes.